Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Back today to draft some NFL best ball teams. Let's join a casual 3. Hopefully we get these 3 to fill right now. Pretty easy number for me to multi-table, and it's crunch time. I got 48 left, so if I'm gonna get these in, gonna need to be doing more than once. Some news for me. Wrote a new article this morning for the paid subs. And what I did is I went through the first 3 rounds, or the all 20 rounds, and I just said my favorite 3 picks for each round. So, other people out there who do fantasy content, they may say things like, this guy runs a 1.56 Whopper, and he, on crescent moons, he did this in the Big Ten, and, his dominator rating was blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that stuff has value, but as someone who has consistently made money in best ball, not really a big part of my game. And as someone who's trying to return value to my subs, $100 a year, just went through and said, these are the guys I like, and here's why, right? Not a huge write-up. So let's, maybe I'll read out 2 of the rounds. So whoever's out there, list a round you want me to read out, and I'll go to my article and I'll read out the players I highlighted in that round. So first 2 rounds from different people. We'll read those. Again, you can find that sub here. Blue Line King 6 said, or Blue Line King 7 said 6. A little confusing by you there, man. Okay, round 6. So first I highlighted a draft board, just the players available. And in round 6, let me get my zoom on to not spoil the other rounds, but I listed Travion Henderson with the idea that, look, there's a lot of guys like in the expensive rounds, obviously, like Alvin Kamara I like too, but it's seeming more and more of the buzz is that he could go into round 1 as a pass-catching back. We're drafting Hampton in the 4th with the same assumption. So, that's a value. If he goes around 1, he will go up in drafts. His pass-catching juice is what will have teams interested. Juwan Jennings, with the logic that, we used to have to pay 2nd and 3rd round prices to bet on the 49ers offense. Jennings was a very reliable downfield target for Purdy, and the health of Ayuk is a question, along with, just how good Ricky Pearsall is. Like Ricky Pearsall, electric end. Maybe he's a really good guy. Maybe Ayuk returns, but there's enough ambiguity there that Jennings seems like a safe selection to get a piece of the 49ers. And then Jaden Reed, as I've said, I'm willing to throw out last year for the Packers. Jordan Love got injured early in the year, like week 1. And it's my belief he just wasn't the same, right? He played, but I don't think he was quite the same. We were valuing Reed as a 2nd-round pick in midseason drafts, right? So that is what round 6 is. Give me another round, guys. Give me another round. Let's see. Looks like we auto Justin Jefferson at pick 3. Pretty good auto. Pretty good ranking system there. Jefferson, safe bet to be a target lead. Jamie Robbins giving me round 11. Thank you, Jamie. Went with Jordan Love. Little synergy there with the Jaden Reed pick. I just think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. His stacking options are all cheap. To be fair though, like round 11 is where like Dak goes, Trevor goes. Like there's a lot of guys you like here to stack. Jordan Mason, he's already receiving positive coach speak that he will have a goal line role and share the load with Aaron Jones. He was a really good rusher last year. And of course, he had an awesome game against the Vikings, likely prompting the trade. Seems like a 600 to 800 yard season with 6+ touchdowns is in store. And of course, if Aaron Jones were to be hurt, Mason would be the workhorse. And then Tucker Kraft, he looked like a monster at times last year. And then his coach recently said, why can't a tight end be the number one target on the team? That seems like some good coach speak there, right? Even if that doesn't happen, he has a very high weekly ceiling. And it won't surprise me if he's a top 5 tight end this year. So paid subs can find that at beatbestball.com. I'm going to have more articles coming down the pipe. And hope you guys enjoyed a little teaser on that. You got it, Connor. The first rounds are sometimes the hardest to choose your favorites because it's like you're choosing between diamonds and gold sometimes, you know? Yeah, I guess. Once these fill, I'll switch to this viewpoint, but for now, we can highlight in here. 2 other drafts to fill, guys. Yeah, I quite like an article like that I wrote because it just allows me to like tell the people like, look, these are the guys I want to be drafting, you know, which is, I think, why a lot of people would sign up to my site. Maybe I'll write the article again and be like, these are the 3 guys I don't want to be drafting. Yeah, this does feel very, very good hitting the Kraft and Love duo. Tyreek, got Tyreek in the 3rd on DK. Don't think Underdog's as reactionary, but we're going to test it. Always be testing. Did get that second one to fill at the turn. Pretty chill spot to be. The big board, if you are curious, 89% filled. Wow. Trey McBride, seeming like he always goes in the second. Trey McBride is like a brand guy for me in the sense that he was on one of my finals teams last year that did well. He was on my 555 team the year that I won the DraftKings 555 as like a rarely drafted guy. Like no one was drafting this dude really, and I took him in the 20th round, and he scored a touchdown and helped me win. But although I love the talent of McBride and Bowers, and if you told me I could show up in the finals, who would I want my tight end to be? Like, it would clearly be these guys, right? Like Bowers, McBride. They're the safest bets to be tight end 1. I just, from a what's going to work this season, like what's going to dominate, I really feel it's like getting a lot of exposure to these guys because these guys are all appealing. Like I can tell myself a story on a lot of these tight ends having a really good year. So that does make it just a little bit tough to just YOLO the talent, right? Where, I mean, like that's one way to play. And that's the way that like some other people like to play, where it's just like this guy is an elite talent, but that ignores what the market gives you, right? So I don't know. It's a tough question. I don't want to abandon my dude, certainly. Let's do Amon-Ra, and we'll do Ginty. Gonna have a ranking update probably today, my last one before the draft. Just have to do things like knock down Derek Carr. But I think Gene T also will rise up because, yeah, I mean, I could see Gene T slotting in pretty high. McBride is pretty reasonably priced. I'm not saying the price is unreasonable. What I am saying is that these prices are probably unreasonable on the other end, in the sense that I can tell myself, like, Tucker Kraft's going to be a top 5 scoring tight end this year, and I can get him in the 11th round. So being reasonable isn't like part of it. You have to be a smash if I'm getting with it. Like, let's pretend McBride outscores Kraft by 30 points. One goes in the third, one goes in the 11th, right? So it's like, it's not about how reasonable your price is per se. It's about considering what the market gives you as a whole. And to be fair, that is a little bit of like an advance rate mentality, just like what's going to score the most points in a given year. Love getting JMO. Extremely high weekly ceiling. All right, we did get this third one to kick off at the 11 hole. So 2 similar spots and one at the third hole. Try to be showing the draft board. I think people mainly want to be seeing that. You know, Behove Kevin, I've been thinking about this. Like, part of me wants the 150 max the DK. I've only done like 10. And the overlay is closing. It's like over 50% filled now. Don't have a lot of room. Had a lot of roam last year. Maybe that's part of the reason I don't have a lot of roam. A little bias kicking in there. So we will add him. No idea on this. I don't really know what you're asking here. Liam, do you think the Lions will utilize their star players next year because of coaching? Are you trying to claim that they didn't utilize their star players? I don't remember Khalif Raymond and Tim Patrick leading the way. No, I mean, my assumption for Detroit is that Ben Johnson is a good coach, but like him leaving is not gutting out the Lions. For rookies post-draft, do you base your analysis mostly on how the NFL treats them, or do you care for any of the dynasty analysts? Yeah, no. No offense to the dynasty analysts out there, whoever those people are. But I care far more about how the NFL treats players. Doesn't mean that I don't, add a little bit of context when it seems like a team reached on a talent. But yeah, no, I don't consume a lot of content from other people, nor do I even really know what a dynasty analyst is. Like, I'm sure there were people out there nitpicking Brian Thomas. All I can tell you is I was not one of those folks. Is there usually a big difference in quarterback ADPs between Big Board and Best Ball Mania? We're going to pull up JT here, get a division stack. I was into Lad too. The only thing that kept me from having more Lad is my love for Brian Thomas, which strangely like worked out. But no, I think I was 2x the field on Lad. The thing I missed in that round, because I had a lot of Lad, I had a lot of Brian Thomas, is I didn't have a lot of Godwin. So that was more like run good. Um, let's do Cook and Rasheed. Yeah, honestly, Brian Thomas Jr. is one of my highest drafted players pre training camp. And the only thing that made me slow down is the Jaguars beat writer being like, he's firmly going to be behind Gabe Davis in target order, which is a lesson. Like, these guys don't know Jack. No offense to the beat writers out there. But I was trying to add some humility to my process. And it's like, maybe don't. Maybe don't. Just ignore what these guys are saying because they're trying to generate discussion from the team. And you know what generates discussion? Fear. So you claiming that Gabe Davis is going to out-target your first-round pick wide receiver, I'm sure that that generates fear, right? Jaden Reed getting a lot of AFC or NFC North in here. Detroit, Bears, Vikings. Got a piece of it all, hoping to fall into some week 17 correlation. That's just an example of how best ball is a weird game, right? Because it's like I was hammering Brian, I was hammering Lad, I was also hammering Rome though. So that one didn't really work. And with everything I knew about Rome, I would make that bet again. Guy goes 8th overall, was pretty cheap in an expensive wide receiver market attached to an elite wideout. Like that's just like that's a bet for me. Is every bet going to work out? No. Don't have a ton of Pearsall, so quite like to mix them in here. Allow, these 6 guys, honestly, in an 18-round draft, I'd probably stop at 6. I think this one will have me draft first. I like Jordan Love a lot. I'm just willing to throw away last year for him. How am I viewing the 49ers wide receivers? There's a lot of ambiguity there, Hartman, but like Jennings seems like a very safe bet for production. Pearsall is an interesting bet on upside. Really like what he showed to end the year, but like, are we going to just extrapolate that 1 week? And then Ayuk, if someone told me Ayuk is healthy week 10 on and playing 100% of snaps, I would probably 100% him at his price. I'm just a little bit worried that I don't know. I just don't know with the double ligament injury. Yeah, I mean, Jason here admitting when I watched his tape, I worried he caught with the body too much. Yeah, I mean, maybe a lesson there that, like, no offense, but you're not an NFL scout. I remember watching the draft as a Bills fan and being like, first off, what the Jags did was extremely bold because everyone mocked them, Brian Thomas Jr., a win for the mocks, but they traded down and then still got him. And when they traded down, I was like, Buffalo, trade up and go get this guy. And yeah, didn't work. There's a little bit to be said for teammate correlation as well, in the sense that Neighbors, Daniels, Brian Thomas, all 3 were obviously good. On the other end, you have Penix, Rome Odunze, and Jalen Polk, and McMillan, I guess, worked out. But let's go Jennings this time. And Walker versus Henderson. Tough call. Tough call. I will do Henderson. Why not? Henderson lands in the Commanders. That'd be wheels up. But yeah, on the Penix thing, it's like Penix was a talent evaluator, and I guess Polk and Rome maybe weren't as good as we thought. Let's do Devonta Smith just because he's like kind of a brand guy for me too, in the sense that he's been on a bunch of my finals teams that have done well. If I was swinging for upside there, I would take Rice. Writing off Rome? I'm not writing off Rome. Right? I mean, the guy won 8th overall for a reason. But I'm a little uneasy on it. For me, like anytime I drafted a guy a lot and then he goes down in price, absolutely refuse to full fade the player because that sounds painful, right? What if you were wrong? Okay. Let's go Caleb. To go with Rome. BBM usually starts the day after the draft. Bears feel set up to smash. I agree. Everyone agrees. The only thing I will say is pretty much the number one correlation for fantasy points year to year is how good were you last year? So things were not great for the Bears last year. Although, obviously, there's a lot of context for the reason why. Like, I think everyone wants to be betting on Ben Johnson. And honestly, Caleb's rookie year was not that bad from a fantasy perspective. Right? Like, Caleb Williams, he had 489 rushing yards, just 0 rushing touchdowns. Bo Nix had less rushing yards than Caleb Williams. I don't think a lot of people would have guessed that. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, though. So, if you can get Caleb closer to like 550, 600 rushing yards, that's a smash. Yeah, I mean, the Bears are an obvious team to kind of throw out last year. But I don't think people will be forgiving if they flop again. Once Nix got comfortable in the offense, he ran a lot less. Yeah, which would not be good for his fantasy value. Is Bo being drafted as ceiling? He's a tough one. Like, he seems like a safe bet. I just, I think everyone in their mind is remembering him going for like stretch after stretch of like 25 fantasy points. But yeah, yes, he's being drafted as ceiling in the sense that there's no universe he's ever going to be going in this like Joe Burrow range. I don't think he's good enough. So the naked Mahomes drafter got us. Could be an auto drafter. Well, the other thing about the Broncos is like if they get a Hampton, etc., that guy probably is a more productive runner than Javonte. Yeah. Ayuk and Shakir. Why not? Jennings and Ayuk pair well. If you're just joining the stream, did put out a new article this morning highlighting my favorite 3 picks in each round. Based on my most recent draft board. What's the real upside for Shakir? 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Call it 8 to 10 in like a true smash season. You know, like that's the upside. Upside of just hitting your lineup every week. I don't know. It's like some people think that best ball is everyone needs to be Brian Thomas Jr. And there is something to be said that hitting weekly ceiling is very valuable in the sense that, God, man, it never feels good taking Pacheco when you've built a good team, but you need running backs. Got to get some adults in the room. You know, the other upside is Josh Allen stopped stealing so many rushing touchdowns. I feel like Shakir is never getting you a 25-point week. You know, the upside is that you're viewing Shakir closer to Rashee Rice next year if things break right for him. Right? You view him as Bills Rashee Rice. That is the nutted upside. I don't think that's particularly likely. Let's do Walker. 3 home run hitters at running back. Got a lot of Mason at cheaper prices. He fits this team. Kraft allows me to stop at 2 tight. You know, we're going to go Kraft. We're going to pass on our boy Mason. Go Kraft. Stop at 2 tight ends. Stop at 2 quarterbacks. Load up on running back. Yeah, I mean, one of the edges in best ball is some people need to see it to believe it. So simply, if Josh Allen stops stealing 15 touchdowns a year for a team that, averages 30 points a game, they're still going to score touchdowns. 12 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. Convert these touchdowns to passing touchdowns. Call it 35 touchdowns. There's going to be more fantasy production for the skill players. Is Shakir a red zone threat? I mean, who was a red zone threat for Buffalo last year? Josh Allen, right? So he's more of a slot guy, but he's got juice to him. I think he runs faster times than I think people realize. I don't know what just came up. Terrible site that Twitter's turned into. 4-4-3-40, 1-4-9, 10-yard split, which is elite. Kind of a slow 3-cone for him, honestly. Wow. Had both our guys fall to us here. Goff and Purdy. That's a really fun start. G&T, Cook, Henderson, Amon-Ra, Rice, Jennings, Ayuk, Shakir. Yeah, Shakir is like not. If Shakir hits like if he takes another step, his game would be roughly like a Stephon Diggs. I don't think he'll ever be as good as Diggs was. That Diggs was like a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL at times. Um, but again, there's a lot of ambiguity in Buffalo. I mean, Shakir was averaging like 15 PPR points per game last year. Like that's. Are you buying Keon Coleman year 2? I mix him in. He's not like a core tenant of me. I honestly think, but like we need to see what the draft does for Buffalo, and I do think training camp will be something. Outside of Shakir, I think every like my intuition is Kincaid gets healthier. He demanded targets. I mean, some people are just not serious. Some people are just not serious, and that's why we love this game, because we get to compete against people who say that Curtis Samuel, who might be out of the NFL, was a better bet than the number 1 target in Buffalo. Yeah, and this type of thinking is the exact type of thinking that led to people, myself included, not really drafting Cooper Kupp the year he was like wide receiver 1 on Underdog. Need wide receiver the most here. Hmm. Seventh and final running back. I think we're going to build like a 2.972 over here. I don't know. I just can't take Josh Downs every time I need wide receiver. I would say this is firmly in the range. Kincaid going for 7+. I would believe that. I would also believe that he doesn't recover from his injuries. Like, there's a lot of ambiguity as Buffalo, and I'm someone pretty plugged into Buffalo. I would buy this too. I think we're going to get Kincaid on this team. His ears were burning. Let's do a Kincaid likely duo here. I think they pair well together. Obviously, 2 bets on elite offenses. One, you would assume, would be more target dominant, Kincaid, and the other one, a high weekly ceiling likely. I mean, I don't know what you're like. What does not work mean to you? Does averaging 30 points a game not work to you? If you are someone who's saying losing a playoff game, meaning that it didn't work for Buffalo. I don't know what to tell you. You're not thinking very logically. But Buffalo has been around 30 points per game multiple years running. So that's one of the best offenses in football, period. Rico, very nice player to add to this team. A little teammate correlation with Leggett. Is Kyler being a top 3 quarterback this season a crazy take? It takes a really big leap of faith, honestly, big boy. Like, I like Kyler. I like to tell myself he's going to be elite when I draft him, but it's been a little rough recently. I think this team needs the unknown upside a little bit more than the Tyler Algiers of the world. Again, some people are not serious. I mean, what does this even mean? Something maybe what you're saying is you don't want to draft Bills in fantasy, which that's fine if you don't want to do that. But Buffalo comfortably leads the league in point margin over the past 5 years, meaning points scored by them and the opponents. So I think they're pretty happy with the offense, and it's on us to discern who's going to score fantasy points. This is Palmer is a true wild card, in the sense that, well, Mac Hollins left, Amari Cooper left, so there's snaps open. Curtis Samuel's availability is a question. Josh Palmer is good against man coverage. A lot of the other guys on the team are better against zone. So, yeah, I kind of think he'll just be, I can envision wide receiver sets with like Keon outside, Palmer outside, Shakir in the slot. Something like that. Yeah, Cook is my pick to be the best player to have in Buffalo. Obviously, Josh Allen comes to mind as well, but simply elite O-line, explosive player. Ran really hot on touchdowns last year, but also looked really good. So I think most people are prone to think he scored 16 touchdowns. That number's going down. Maybe. Or maybe it will be 15 again, right? Like that's kind of a trap thinking. But that's how a lot of other people are thinking, and I'm kind of happy, right? Like if they're not into him, I'm okay that I am. I think we'll do Rico again. And I can't really get that 3-game stretch out of my mind for Tillman. Jalen Noel was a possible pick there too. Yeah, this team needs some help. I think we'll just jam both the wide receivers here. Figure out quarterback later. Oh, we're not on the 12 hole there. Maybe should have taken McMillan first. His ADP was higher. I don't think James Cook is holding out. That if he holds out, he'd be replaced. Let's do Pittman. We got quite a bit of downs. Tacked on Ollie Gordon, Brashard Smith here. I mixed them in. I don't know. I'm pretty uneasy on how bad ETN was last year, and it wouldn't surprise me if GT lands with Jacksonville. But the great news is we're going to get clarity on Jacksonville pretty soon. Kirk Cousins. I'm still assuming Kirk gets traded. And he has outs to getting traded to the Steelers or the Browns. Or the Saints. Not the Saints, actually. Seeing that he's a Falcon. Yeah, I mean, there's teams in pre-draft that have a lot more ambiguity than other teams, right? Like a team that has relatively stable assumptions would be a team like Philadelphia. Nothing happened to Saquon. Nothing happened to A.J. Brown. Nothing happened to Devonta Smith. Possibly Goddard's traded. Possibly Will Shipley gets competition. That's all you got to sort through. A team like Jacksonville, a ton of ambiguity. Possibly Diami Brown and Gabe Davis are starting wide receivers. Possibly both of them are not. Both are replaced. Possibly Tank and ETN are the running backs. Possibly Tank's the running back. Possibly ETN's the running back. Possibly GT's the running back. Possibly both are replaced by rookies, right? That's a lot of ambiguity. The Rams, pretty stable assumptions. Possibly Kyron gets competition. Puka is not. Devontae Adams is not. Probably Tutu Atwell's the wide receiver 3. Maybe he gets competition, right? So thinking through the relative ambiguity of different teams makes sense. Yeah, okay. If you think ETN or Bigsby, one of them's a league winner, that makes sense to me. Again, it's going to be a bit of a gut punch if they take Ashton Jeanty 5th overall. This draft is flying compared to the others. Just going to tack on 3 dusty RBs. Try to make up it with quantity. Let's go with Otten and Kyle Williams. Take Kendre over here. Wow. Pick 131, David Njoku. I've yet to see that. And he's a player I like. I mean, Davis and I do a show every Wednesday, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Truly. Sure, Sean Tucker. Come on down. And clearly, Trevor is the pick with Brian Thomas. Got some Pittman division correlation as well. I'm sure I do, Hartman. Fading in general is an easier exercise in best ball. I'm a football guy, pretty squarely. Big NFL guy, specifically. So we're hitting the green. All RBs. Yeah, I mean, all this is true, but at the same time, if Ginty is viewed as a can't miss guy, and they don't think the edge is what they need most, pass rush, are worth it, then I think they will take him. In general, if like every single mock draft has Ginty going 6th, it's not crazy that he goes 5th. Nick Chubb exposure thoughts? Nearly 0. Don't really want any. He's a guy I feel like I could get in August if things break right for him. The luck of the Irish. I don't think James Cook is holding out. Quite frankly, like I like James Cook in fantasy, but in real life, if he's going to do that, he's going to get replaced by the team. And I think he's wise enough to know that. Especially when the Bills have 2 second-round picks and 10 picks overall. So no, I'm not nervous. I think logic prevails there. Let's do Khalil Herbert. Why not? The rare 2972. Caleb Goff, Pacheco, Spears, Dowdle, RJ Harvey, Ollie Gordon, Brashad Smith, Kendra Miller, Sean Tucker, Khalil Herbert, Jefferson, Higgins, Jameson, Rome, Jaden Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Leggett, McBride, Kraft. What do we need over here? I'd say running back and wide out. We've gone Yoshi Voss a lot, so we'll go Michael Will. Yeah, no, we're doing Yoshi Voss. Yeah, I mean, Cook is not a guy you want to draft every time because he's expensive and there's a lot of players to like in this range. But he has massive upside, especially week to week. And so I simply am not going to be scared off. Other people are, right? Like a lot of people are thinking this way. Hey, man, At this current moment, I would tell you Khalil Herbert is the RB2 for the Colts, and we take Jonathan Taylor in the second round. Take Leggett here. Falls quite a bit in drafts. And Khalil Herbert's not always drafted, right? So, yeah, as Cook falls, that's a no-brainer for me. No, I didn't think you were hating. I'm just stating the case for him. Okay. Maybe. Right? Like a lot of people are just going like some wish casting. This guy's going to be an X, you know? It's like maybe. Bryce Young, a nice pairing here with Leggett. Also have Shaheed in that division. Killer value on Njoku, too. It's really nice. Could conceivably stop at 4 running backs. Probably will go 5 in 20 rounds. That team's definitely the weirdest feeling one. I was a little bit worried when that guy inside of me took Rico Dowdle that he was going to stack him with Young. Yeah, I mean, in general, if you're mocking any rookie, like you're just assuming a rookie is going to blank team, that's pretty bold, I would say. I mean, is leveraging against JT Sanders valuable? No. He's not always drafted. He's a 19th round tight end, so I don't think that is the logical way to look at that. I would accept, hey, Tommy Tremble's never drafted. He's going to be the tight end 1. Therefore, he's a, rarely drafted player at a touchdown dependent position. That has value, but the logic of I need to short Jatavian Sanders, who is drafted 50% of the time in the 19th round, like that's not, you don't want to leverage off of that. '49ers are always live to take a running back. My best guess at Buffalo wide receiver, yeah, someone speedy. Someone speedy in like the 3rd to 4th. In general, like, you're not trying to leverage off of these guys. You're trying to leverage off of these guys. Right? So it's like Will Shipley, leverage off of Saquon Barkley. That has value. Yeah, so definitely one running back. Yeah, I think we go another wide receiver too. We'll do Herbert again. Although I quite like Kendrick Miller. And why not? Demarcus Robin. Yeah, we'll do Brandon Cooks. I was going to triple up Purdy, but Cooks. He's got outs to Chris Olave getting traded on draft night. And could just be a guy to give me some weeks until Ayuk's back, etc. This is my intuition as too, Victor. Surprised to see Godwin going so early, but like no one else is voicing this concern. The team paid him, so I'm like, okay, fine. I guess we're just assuming that he's fine. pretty wide range on Keon Coleman. It's very hard to pin down. He's part of the ambiguity in Buffalo. Like, I would accept him being the number one pass catcher for Buffalo this year. I would accept him just being a boom bust guy his whole career. It's like Keon goes round 10 here. I definitely strongly prefer Kirk. I think it's fair to question. It's like Leggett and Keon went next to each other in last year's draft. Why is one such a price gap? Keon's also way cheaper on DK. Maybe right by DK. But I think Keon will always have 10 touchdowns in his range of outcomes attached to Josh Allen and a downfield threat. So that alone makes me into mixing them in. I think we'll go Otten again. Why not, Richardson? Pick 182. We have Michael Pittman. Team needs a third quarterback. Even if he's benched down the stretch. Mike Evans' line is at 900 yards because he's going to be 32. So typically you can hit an age cliff there. How you guys feel about Richardson? You drafting him? Is he off your board? In general, I think if people are like really into Justin Fields, you should be a little bit into Richardson. It's not a guy I want to, go a hundo P on, but on a team that correlates, needs a third quarterback, it's fine if he's a zero, honestly. If these two guys are fine, seems good. Richardson feels like Flacco. I couldn't think of a further comp. This isn't a bold take. You feel better about Fields than AR. Fields goes in the 9th round. Richardson goes in the 16th. Do we need to correlate them? We don't need to do anything, but Richardson having negative correlation on your team is quite nice and positive, right? Negative in the sense that JT can score 2 touchdowns, bad for Richardson. Richardson can score 2 touchdowns, bad for JT. This builds in ownership leverage. I don't know. Like, I'd accept a couple things. Richardson being beat out by Daniel Jones because Jones is more stable. Sure, I'd accept that. But it's like, are people really going to do the Daniel Jones thing? I'd rather have the mystery box. I mean, I kind of think the staff gets fired if they roll with Daniel Jones, though. So it's like they're probably going to be forced to try to make Richardson work. If Anthony Richardson develops into a top 10 quarterback this year, I don't think they get fired. For quarterback, there's one in every draft. These people don't really understand the structure of these contests. I mean, they're going to force us to do it. Let's do it. Yeah, anytime you burn a third round pick on a quarterback, it's essentially you get 4. Continue our division correlation in the Jags. Get a piece of the Texans. Seems good. This team, T. Law, Bryce Young, Richardson. This team definitely feels the worst to me, wide receiver wise, but we got 2 more picks. I see validity to both. I see validity to going 5 RB, 9 wideouts, and also 4 RB, 10 wideouts. Pretty low for QB. Generally, only when I'm forced. It's not hard to feel a team you feel good about with 4 quarterbacks. It's just not optimal. But yeah, I've drafted some ugly teams where I've just waited on a quarterback and been forced to go 4. I drafted one on stream too where I did 4 on purpose. Always mix one in because I got 5th in the puppy one year with it. Back when it wasn't popular. The thing about 4 quarterbacks is it's really not that valuable when it's like here. I had to go T-Law, Dart, Rogers, Cousins. So I was forced to do 4. And I'm simply hoping that between these groups, 2 of them are starters, at least one. I do. It's right here, but the top broke off of it. I have that top somewhere. Yeah, so I don't think we have any. Someone asked about Nick Chubb, and I guess we did get that squatting video. Where's the ring? Right here, brother. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Davis. Please, underdog. Give us auto draft. I think doing three at once is nice and casual. So, okay, this guy went Rodgers, Cousins with Hurts. Yeah, it seems fine. His team seems pretty weak at wideout, though. Dart. Yeah, I would be drafting Dart over Cousins. There is a thing DK is doing right now. If you opt in, buy one, get one. Gabe Davis, the original brand guy for us. Obviously stacks with T-Law. Makes sense. Let's go with Devin Singletary. Not always drafted. Best I got there. T-Law, Bryce Young, Richardson, JT, James Cook, Ken Walker, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary. This guy's got the 5.65. How terrible. Oh, I thought it was 4. It's 5. My God. And it's not, he's not autoing because these are stacked. Right? He's got these Ravens to go with Lamar. Yeah, I'm truly a speechless team. Let's see how he ends it. Got to get that fourth tight end. 5.654. My God. My God. Anyways, Brian Thomas, Smith, Metcalf, Amika Egbuka, Rashid Shaheed, Michael Pittman, Xavier Legette, Adonai Mitchell, Gabe Davis, David Njoku, Cade Otton, Dalton Schultz. Not my favorite, but I could see it working. It's what I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribers can find my new article, wrote up my favorite picks in each round, over at beatbestball.com. Join the Discord, links below. Have a great day.